It was the 55th day since my fiancé had blocked me. I canceled the wedding I had been looking forward to for 8 years. Meanwhile, he was still accompanying the girl with depression at the Buddhist temple, healing her wounds. He had the temple, which had always been filled with incense, closed for a whole 6 months. As for me, I was left homeless, surrounded by reporters because of his sudden disappearance. Reluctantly, I went to the temple to find him, but he sent me down the mountain, citing the need to maintain the sanctity of the Buddhist temple. In the cold winter, I fainted at the foot of the mountain and nearly lost my life. When I woke up, I saw that Patrick had personally planted a large area of roses, symbols of love, in the peaceful grounds of the Buddhist temple. 6 months later, he finally came down the mountain, bringing his little sweetheart back home. The roses they had planted now filled our wedding room. I watched coldly. He still didn't know that I was about to marry someone else. Chapter 1. I was choosing a ring at the store when I ran into Patrick, whom I hadn't seen for 6 months. The sales assistant showered me with compliments about the large diamond ring on my finger, but I didn't hear a word. I was only watching him, distracted. When Patrick saw the ring, he casually walked over and asked, "Why are you here alone? I thought I was the one giving you a surprise." Though he said that, I saw the bag in his hand. It was a diamond necklace. It wasn't for me. It was for Rebecca. Yesterday, when they went home, I overheard Rebecca whining, asking for a diamond necklace as a birthday gift for this year, and Patrick had already fulfilled her wish so quickly. Well, for Rebecca, no matter how hard he had to work, he would do anything to make it happen. Unlike me, who had waited for 8 years just for a wedding, but had never seen it come true. So this time, Patrick, I won't wait for you anymore. I moved away from him, silently removing the ring from my finger and asking the sales assistant to pack it up. Patrick immediately pulled out his credit card, wanting to pay for it. Before I could explain anything to the sales assistant, I noticed the Buddhist beads on his wrist. Yesterday, when Rebecca announced her return to the entertainment industry, there was a 9-grid photo, one of which showed these very beads. The beads didn't match with the other photos at all, but someone recognized them as the unique Buddhist beads from the temple. Soon, the temple's closure for 6 months and the identity of the beads owner became trending topics. A paparazzi even captured a video of Rebecca and them descending from the mountain. Although Patrick's face wasn't clearly visible, the customized suit and the license plate with 4 consecutive 9s were more than enough to reveal everything. Everyone was congratulating her on marrying into a wealthy family, and I had become nothing but a complete joke. I snapped back to reality, interrupting the sales assistant who was about to process the payment. No need. I was just trying it on. I don't plan on buying it. Patrick was looking at his phone, answering absently. Go ahead and buy it. I've got some free time this afternoon. Let's go register our marriage. Register our marriage? To him, our marriage was nothing but a routine process. But I didn't need such a relationship anymore. I didn't answer him, and I walked out of the store. Patrick followed behind me, seemingly displeased with my earlier actions. Are you angry because of Rebecca again? I've told you, our wedding is still on. I'm just looking after her for her father. Yes, Rebecca was the daughter of his old friend. Ever since Rebecca's father passed away, he had taken on the responsibility of looking after her. Rebecca called him little uncle, and her eyes were always full of affection when she looked at him. I knew that Patrick understood everything. He was just pretending to be clueless, and I was nothing more than a tool he used to shield Rebecca from external gossip and rumors. I looked up and calmly replied, I understand, Patrick. I don't want to play this love triangle anymore. Our wedding is indeed still on. It's just that the groom is no longer you. Hearing my indifferent response, Patrick started to scold me. I'm busy every day. I don't have time to deal with your emotions. If you don't want to get married, then don't. Just cancel the wedding. With that, he left me alone in the mall and drove back home. He didn't know. The wedding was indeed canceled, and I really didn't want to marry him anymore. I opened my phone and saw the red exclamation mark in the chat with Patrick. I tried sending another message. Still, the red exclamation mark appeared. Chapter 2. He hadn't even added me back on WeChat. How could he talk about marrying me? If this were before, I might have tried to convince myself to make an effort to win him back, but now, I wouldn't lie to myself anymore. His heart was never really with me. Just as I was about to take a taxi home, I received a call from my wedding partner, Leonardo. He asked me to meet him at a newly opened cafe. Seeing that I had nothing in my hands, he curiously asked, "Didn't you buy a ring?" I smiled helplessly. There wasn't anything suitable. He suddenly pulled out a small box and handed it to me. "This is a ring I brought back from France. I wasn't sure if you'd like it, so I haven't dared to give it to you." When I opened the box, there was a rare pink diamond ring inside. The band was engraved with my name. It was a kind of exclusive affection I had never received before. I was so moved that I nearly teared up. Just as I was about to put the ring on my finger to show my gratitude, Patrick's call came through. "Hello? Where are you? I've called the driver to pick you up to register our marriage." After everything that had just happened, he was asking me to go register our marriage? He was certain that I would forgive him. In the past, whenever we had a conflict, he always chose to give me the silent treatment, but within half a day, we'd make up, mostly because I compromised. I compromised enough to let Rebecca join our dates. I allowed the passenger seat to be marked with Rebecca's name. I let the car be filled with Rebecca's dolls. Patrick's clothes and daily necessities were all chosen by Rebecca. There was no trace of me left on him. But even that wasn't enough for Rebecca. She once jumped from the second floor of the villa because Patrick didn't answer her call during a meeting, and she broke her leg. When Patrick found out, he canceled millions worth of orders and rushed back to be with her. And he blamed everything on me, because I hadn't rushed back to take care of Rebecca right away. He forced me to apologize to Rebecca when I refused. He scolded me for an entire day and night, demanding that I kneel in front of Rebecca's hospital bed and repent. Only then would he forgive me and agree to marry me. Otherwise, he would break up with me. Back then, I loved him so much that I couldn't accept the idea of leaving him. So, I agreed. But love shouldn't be like this, twisted and worn down. Once you're hurt enough, you naturally walk away. As I thought about all of this, I bitterly smiled to myself. I hung up the phone, put the ring back in the box, and said goodbye to Leonardo, preparing to go home. But just as I reached the roadside, I was stopped by Patrick's driver. Patrick, sitting in the back seat, rolled down the window and asked, looking at what I was holding, "What did you buy?" I didn't want him to see the ring box in my hand, so I hid it behind me and got into the car on the opposite side. Patrick, maybe sensing something, noticed the bag in my hand and asked, "I saw you holding a pink box just now. What was it?" "You saw wrong." I tucked my hair behind my ear, trying to figure out how to refuse going to register our marriage with him. Before I could figure it out, my phone rang again. Rebecca's scream came through the speaker of Patrick's phone. "Little uncle, I think someone is following me." Patrick immediately became alert. "Rebecca, don't be scared. Where are you? I'll come find you." Looking at the panic in his eyes, I almost saw the same thing when Rebecca once pretended to attempt suicide. That time, Rebecca had found out about my engagement with Patrick. She cried and confessed her feelings to him, but he rejected her. That's when she took extreme measures. Chapter 3. Patrick regretted it deeply, and our wedding date was already set. So, he had no choice but to take extra care of Rebecca. He even insisted that I must answer Rebecca's calls 24/7, just in case she couldn't find herself. She would come looking for me. One time, during a meeting, I missed a call, and Patrick was on a plane with his phone turned off. Rebecca, again, attempted to harm herself at home. Patrick then blocked me and took Rebecca to the temple to heal. He completely ignored the fact that our wedding was fast approaching. Patrick was always sacrificing my well-being for the sake of others. So, this is the so-called compassion they speak of in Buddhism? Compassion, in his mind, was merely his certainty that I wouldn't leave. He was sure I couldn't live without him. But not this time. The driver quickly reached the location where Rebecca was. She was sitting by the roadside, looking like a sad little cat. But there was no one around. When Rebecca saw Patrick, she immediately jumped into his arms. I watched the smug smile on her face and realized that she was doing this on purpose. She must have found out about our marriage registration. So, She deliberately tried to stop us. I found it laughable. If she knew that I was about to marry someone else, she would probably think she was the one being ridiculous. Rebecca, sweetly leaning into Patrick's arms, began to cry about being followed. Patrick comforted her while carrying her to the car. It was only when he turned around that he saw me, hesitated for a moment, and finally said, "You can go home by yourself." And then he left. We were in the middle of nowhere. How was I supposed to get a taxi back home? I let out a bitter laugh and decided to call Leonardo for help. Not long after I returned home, I heard hurried footsteps on the stairs. When Patrick saw me, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Standing at the door, he apologized. "Sorry. There was so much going on this afternoon. We didn't go to register as planned." I thought he was just saying that casually. But once again, he brought up the idea of getting married. I casually put the wedding invitations I had prepared into my bag and responded indifferently, "It's fine." Seeing that I wasn't blaming him, Patrick smiled and walked over to me, ruffling my hair. In the past, whenever I obeyed and stayed calm, he would be gentle with me like this. He wanted me to be understanding, to be obedient, but he indulged another girl, letting her run wild. I pulled away from his touch and bent down to organize the things in the cabinet. Patrick froze for a moment before suddenly saying, "Why don't we go and register tomorrow? I'll push my work aside." It was rare for him to compromise, but I couldn't help but scoff inwardly, replying coldly, "No, I'm meeting Anna tomorrow to give her the wedding invitations." At the mention of my plans, Patrick's expression softened, but he still didn't know that my wedding had nothing to do with him anymore. The next morning, I woke up and went downstairs for breakfast. As soon as I entered the dining room, I saw Rebecca practically sitting in Patrick's lap. Patrick was trying to comfort her while coaxing her to eat breakfast. She complained about the taste of the egg whites and how the yolks would make her gain weight. But Patrick showed no signs of irritation. He cut the fruit into small pieces and fed them to her. Her soft lips deliberately brushed against his fingers. He stiffened, pulled his hand back, but his ears turned red. I watched their ambiguous behavior with cold eyes. Finally, Rebecca noticed me and teasingly said, "Sister, you look great today. Are you going on a date?" Before I could respond, Patrick suddenly put the fruit plate back on the table, his voice stern as he said, "Stop talking nonsense. She's your aunt." Despite knowing that Patrick and I were engaged, Rebecca still refused to call me aunt. She thought that if she didn't, it would somehow erase my connection to Patrick. Patrick didn't discipline her for it. He just let her do whatever she wanted. This was the first time he corrected Rebecca's way of addressing me. I didn't care and calmly replied, "It's fine. She's still young. Let her say what she wants." It was a line Patrick used to say to me often. He'd say that Rebecca was just young, so anything she did or said couldn't be wrong. Right. The only thing wrong was me. It was my blindness that allowed me to love him for so many years. Chapter 4. My words immediately silenced Patrick. He didn't feed Rebecca anymore but instead sat beside me. "I pushed my meeting this morning. Whatever time you leave, I can take you." Hearing Patrick's words, Rebecca started to grumble again, clearly preparing to cause some trouble. But with a sharp glance from Patrick, she instantly shut her mouth. So, he wasn't unable to control her, and he wasn't blind to her tantrums. He just didn't want to control her, and he couldn't bear to do so. But what was the use of controlling her now? I no longer cared. After breakfast, I had Patrick take me to my best friend Anna's beauty salon. Anna greeted me with excitement and hugged me tightly, but she was clearly surprised to see Patrick. "What's he doing here?" Anna didn't have much patience for him. I explained, "He's free this morning and came to drop me off." "Oh, I thought this big shot only had time for that little celebrity, bringing a girl so much younger than him around all the time." "Well, it's either because he's a compassionate Buddhist, or, to put it bluntly, maybe some people are just creepy." Anna didn't hold back, making it clear that she wasn't impressed with Patrick. Patrick looked slightly displeased, but then he turned his attention back to me, trying to lecture me. "Caro, I don't care who you associate with in your free time, but for the wedding, you need to invite people with proper behavior, or it'll embarrass the Fu family. It'll also upset Rebecca. It seemed like his main concern was the last point. "I'll decide who to invite to my wedding," I replied with a deep breath, pushing back against his patriarchal attitude. I shoved the invitation into Anna's hands. Patrick, furious, snatched the invitation back from me. "Carolina, why are you so unreasonable? What do you mean your wedding? Isn't our wedding?" In the next second, his eyes froze as he saw the name of the groom on the invitation. He stared at it, unable to believe what he was seeing. The bold words were clearly printed. "Bride, Carolina. Groom, Leonardo." Patrick blinked rapidly, rubbed his eyes, and checked the invitation over and over again. His breath caught, and he was at a loss for words. "Carolina, you. His eyes turned red with anger, likely struggling to accept the fact that I was leaving him. I spoke calmly. "Yes, Patrick. Our wedding was cancelled 6 months ago. The wedding is still going ahead next weekend, but not with you." I enunciated every word clearly, watching Patrick, who now looked like a lion freed from its chains, rush toward me. No, it's impossible. "Carolina, you're saying this is a lie. This is a lie. As long as you say it's a lie, that you're just angry and tricking me, I'll forgive you." "Forgive me?" At this point, he was still talking about forgiveness, as if me begging for his forgiveness were something simple. I laughed, a laugh full of mockery. "Why would I seek your forgiveness? Is it because you abandoned me and ran off with Rebecca for half a year? Or is it because of the endless indulgence you've shown her, causing me so much pain? Patrick, don't you know what you've done to me?" I spoke with rising emotion, unable to stop the tears from welling up in my eyes. But honestly, crying for someone like him wasn't worth it. Patrick froze after hearing my words. "Carolina, I'm not with Rebecca like you think." I knew exactly what he meant. Even though Patrick might have had feelings for her, he would still be held back by his strong moral boundaries. But wasn't that also a form of favoritism? Patrick's excessive favoritism toward Rebecca, so much so that he could suppress his own desires for her, was its own kind of love. I bitterly smiled at myself, realizing that I had always been nothing more than a tool for them both. "That's enough. Patrick, we're done." Chapter 5. I spoke with finality, and Patrick grabbed my wrist, his fingertips icy cold. "No, Carolina, it's not like that. Please listen to me. Our wedding is cancelled. My parents have agreed. You don't need to say anything more." I guessed that his last hesitation and explanations were out of respect for the relationship between our families. So, I decided to make things crystal clear today. The project we were collaborating on, my parents have already handed it back. The profits from it belong to your family. There is nothing more between us. Patrick couldn't say another word. What could he say? He had never seen me so ruthless. He never expected that I would sever everything between us so completely. Patrick left alone. I had no idea where he went, but I knew. This was the end. Anna still wanted to comfort me, but I just shook my head. I didn't care anymore. What was there to feel heartbroken about? That night, I didn't return to our wedding house. That apartment had been bought by Patrick as our wedding home. It had nothing to do with me. Since things had come to this point, it was time for me to move out. I had already packed my things. Patrick hadn't noticed a thing. Why pretend when I was about to leave? I spent the next few days at Anna's place. I had one of my bodyguards go to the foo house to collect my belongings. They were stopped at the door. "Is Carolina not planning to return?" Patrick asked slowly, word by word, as if he couldn't admit that he still held on to even a small hope. But he thought, after 8 years of relationship, wasn't there still a chance to sit down and talk before everything faded away? "The lady said she has already packed her things, and we are here to collect them," the bodyguard explained. "Packed?" Patrick couldn't believe it. He ignored the guard and rushed upstairs to check. When he reached my room, there were indeed 2 suitcases there. My closet was empty. My vanity had nothing on it. He had been in here just a few days ago. When had it all disappeared? Had I truly planned to leave all along? These past few days, he hadn't failed to reflect on his actions toward me. He knew he owed me, but he truly thought of Rebecca as a child to be taken care of, and the only person who could be his wife was me. He wanted to make it up to me, but I wouldn't even give him the chance. Tomorrow was Saturday. I was going to marry Leonardo. No, this couldn't happen. He had to stop it. He ran downstairs again and told the bodyguards by the door, if she wants her things, she can come get them herself. This is my home. You can't just come and go as you please. He, once again, put on his CEO attitude, trying to intimidate them. The two bodyguards exchanged glances before taking out their phones and calling me. Patrick's eyes lit up, thinking he was finally going to see me. But what he got instead was, Patrick, our lady said that if she no longer needs her things, you can throw them away. With that, they turned and left without a second glance. Patrick stood outside in his thin shirt, in the cold wind, for a long time. It wasn't until Rebecca came out to drape a coat over him that he finally realized. Uncle, what are you doing? That woman betrayed you. She doesn't deserve you. You still have me. Chapter 6. Rebecca cupped his hand, brushing it against her cheek. Patrick shoved her hand away. Rebecca. This was the first time he had been this rough with her. I'm just your uncle. I hope you don't have any improper thoughts. If you really do, I'll send you abroad and have someone look after you. Uncle! Rebecca couldn't accept this reality. Why? After everything, was I marrying someone else? Yet Uncle still wouldn't be with her? Patrick! She called out his name and rushed to block his way, using her body to stop him. Do you really not love me? If you don't love me, why are you so nice to me? Why? Because I promised your father I would take care of you. He said each word seriously. I have absolutely no romantic feelings for you. The person I love is Carolina. Since that's the case, you'd better go abroad, he said, immediately preparing to send Rebecca away. Rebecca cried and threw a tantrum, grabbing a fruit knife from the table, ready to slice her wrist again. Patrick snatched it away from her, and the knife tip pierced his palm. This startled Rebecca. Now, I don't owe you anything anymore. Years ago, during the family inheritance dispute, the Wynn family had given him the most help. Later, when old Master Wynn passed away, leaving only Rebecca as his child, Patrick always wanted to repay the Wynn family's kindness by caring for Rebecca. But he was too naive. He didn't balance the boundaries between men and women, nor did he balance his feelings toward me. He failed in every way. In the end, he ruined his own hand. All of this, for a clear separation from Rebecca. He sent Rebecca abroad to be raised by her aunt. He stayed in the hospital for less than 24 hours before being discharged. Because my wedding was about to begin, ignoring all the obstacles, he pushed his way through and arrived at the stage. I was exchanging rings with Leonardo when he suddenly appeared. Interrupting the moment, Leonardo remained calm, holding my hand and slipping the ring onto my finger. He then put his own ring on my finger as well. His actions brought my thoughts back. He smiled reassuringly at me. He picked up the microphone and addressed the crowd. Thank you all for coming to Carolina and my wedding today. Once the rings are exchanged, we will be officially married. Carolina and I have known each other since childhood, but we never expressed our feelings, which caused us to miss many years. Today, here, I want to thank my wife for agreeing to marry me. After saying that, he set the microphone down, pulled me into his arms, and gently kissed my lips. My body trembled, but under his calming touch, it settled. In truth, we had no deep feelings for each other. We had only known each other for 6 months. Though we had crossed paths before, we hadn't been close. I knew he was speaking on my behalf, helping me shut the door on Patrick for good. Patrick stood there, watching us kiss on the stage. His face turned ashen. I didn't know how he left. Maybe he was escorted out by the security of the Zhou family. Maybe he left on his own. It didn't matter anymore. My relationship with him was over, and it was time for me to start my new life. That night, when I returned home, I was completely exhausted. Leonardo prepared a basin of warm water for me to soak my feet. He knelt by my side and said, I know you're not fully prepared yet, so I'll sleep in another room for now. I felt a little embarrassed, thinking I was troubling him. After all, it was I who had asked him to help me escape from my misery. And yet, Patrick had caused a scene at the wedding, but everyone in the city knew about my relationship with Patrick. I nodded in agreement, realizing I really did need some time to prepare mentally. Chapter 7. That night, I lay alone in bed. I saw a trending topic that had skyrocketed to the top of the hot search list. Wealthy, aloof Buddhist disciple drinks late into the night. Suspected emotional turmoil. Netizens immediately started gossiping. Today is Miss Caro and young Master Leo's grand wedding. Miss Caro was originally the fiancée of this Buddhist disciple, Patrick. It must be Carolina cheating. Patrick is so pitiful. Stop talking nonsense. So-called Buddhist disciple. Looks all abstinent and refined. But in reality, he's been keeping a girl over a decade younger than him for years. Who knows? Maybe he has some special fetishes. The girl just couldn't take it anymore. Is it really that explosive? Anyone know the truth? I'm actually the classmate of the girl they're talking about. I know her uncle. He's a really good person. It's just that the woman's the one who cheated. Our story quickly stirred up a storm online. Someone had somehow found the video of our wedding. Patrick's bloodshot eyes stared at me on stage, like an abandoned dog. Leo and I were placed on the pillar of shame. I quickly got up, intending to explain the situation to Leonardo, and just as I reached the door, he was there, raising his hand to knock. Our eyes met, and he spoke first. It's fine. It's a small thing. I can handle it. I just worried you might not sleep well, so I came to bring you some milk. I looked at the milk he was offering, feeling embarrassed, and invited him in. He hesitated, but still walked in. Thank you, but I really did affect you. We're already married, so don't say things like that. Carolina, I hope you can consider me as family from now on. He spoke somewhat awkwardly, scratching his head, his gaze dropping lower and lower. Leonardo's demeanor in the business world was even more commanding than Patrick's. While Patrick appeared aloof and abstinent, he was, in reality, quite self-absorbed. But Leonardo seemed ambitious. Yet he was gentle at heart. My wariness toward him was fading more and more, so I invited him to sit on the bed and discuss the trending topic. First, we need to clarify things with them. I feel like Rebecca is stirring the pot. I heard Patrick sent her abroad. What? Leonardo replied, and I gasped in surprise. How could that be? Patrick had always doted on her, treating her like something precious, holding her in his palm. How could he have sent her abroad? I wanted to ask the reason, but whatever the reason, it no longer mattered to me. I had married Leonardo, and I needed to take responsibility for him. Do you have any way of finding her? Get her to shut up. I intentionally emphasized the last sentence. Leonardo chuckled softly. When we were kids, I used to see you arguing with others like this. It's still so cute. His words made my cheeks flush. Indeed, I had always had a fiery temper, and that's why I liked Patrick's cold demeanor so much. I thought he would never get angry, never raise his voice. He seemed so amazing to me. I had a kind of inexplicable admiration for him. But once we were together, I realized he was completely different from the person I had imagined. Yet, I had already fallen deep into it, unable to get out. I used to constantly degrade myself in hopes of winning Patrick's affection. In the end, I only ended up hurt. I shook my head, trying to push these unpleasant thoughts away. It's getting late. Let's rest. I believe you can handle this. Leonardo paused for a moment before replying. Thank you. He slowly expressed his gratitude. Then he said goodnight and left. I hadn't expected that. To him, my acknowledgement and trust meant so much. I wouldn't fully realize this until later. Leonardo had someone track down Rebecca. It was hard to tell if she really had depression, but she was certainly mentally unstable. After arriving at her aunt's house, she continued to act out, trying to find Patrick. Maybe it was because Patrick had spoiled her for years, making her have no boundaries. But her aunt wouldn't tolerate this. Gradually, Rebecca developed a grudge, and it all exploded onto me. She said she didn't want money, didn't want benefits, and nothing could threaten her. She even said she wouldn't be afraid of going to jail. Leonardo had no choice but to comply with her wishes and report her drug use to the authorities. Rebecca was completely stunned. She finally became quiet, no longer causing any trouble. Leonardo sent her to a rehabilitation group, trying to take responsibility for her father. Actually, if Patrick had really wanted to repay Rebecca's father, he should have disciplined her strictly years ago, instead of indulging her into lawlessness. It wasn't good for her, and it wasn't good for anyone else. Leonardo managed to handle the situation with Rebecca and brought the hot surge under control. Chapter 8. I went to the airport to pick him up. When I saw him rolling his suitcase out, I rushed up and gave him a hug. It was our first intimate contact, and I was the one who initiated it. Leonardo was stunned for quite a while before he finally reacted. I saw his ears turn bright red, like they were bleeding. I smiled and said, "Good job, husband." I felt like I had become that lively, cheerful girl from the past again, the same girl that Leonardo originally liked. Later, I found out that Leonardo had liked me since our school days. We were still young back then, at the age where emotions first awakened, and I was the talk of the whole school. But he wasn't remarkable, just an ordinary student. Our school was filled with the rich and privileged. Having a wealthy family didn't mean much. It was character that truly stood out. Back then, Leonardo was shy and not good at socializing. Unlike me, wherever I went, everyone knew who I was. Yet, this shining, radiant girl once helped the inconspicuous boy. When senior students were bullying him, I stepped forward to help. From that moment on, he remembered me. If he hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten how I was back then. It turns out, I used to be like that. Those 8 years spent with Patrick had completely changed me into a different person. I was truly grateful to Leonardo. He had helped me find the person I once was. We returned home from the airport, and the maid had already prepared dinner. On the table was a rather unappetizing fruit salad, my creation. Seeing the maid place my salad in the center, I felt a bit embarrassed and said, that's for after dinner. It's okay, I really like it. Thank you, wife. Leonardo placed his hand over mine, acknowledging my earlier term of endearment. I lowered my head, shy, picking at my rice one grain at a time. The TV was still airing the news from that day. Fu Group CEO Patrick officially shaves his head and enters the monastery. Before the TV finished, Leonardo asked the maid to mute the sound. Usually, he didn't react this strongly to the news about Patrick and me. Seeing him like this today, I was a bit surprised and asked, "Let's eat," he replied, sounding a bit upset. I panicked a little, dismissed the maid, and moved closer to him. "I thought you wouldn't mind." "How could I not mind?" Leonardo looked at me and finally talked about it. "I don't mind your past relationship, but I do mind how he has hurt you over the years. At the wedding, I didn't rush down to beat him up to give you face. I didn't want our wedding to be ruined. Now, he's fine, acting like nothing happened, shaving his head and entering the monastery, blaming everything on the two girls. I think he's a complete jerk." Leonardo spoke more and more passionately. I finally understood what he meant. Patrick was originally a Buddhist. Shaving his head and entering the monastery actually completed his image as the perfect Buddhist disciple. I feared that all the unaware girls online were still fawning over him. I sighed. "What do you want to do about it?" He hesitated. "I'm mainly concerned about your 8 years with him. You don't need to worry about me." I reassured him. "You're right. Patrick seems to have done nothing wrong. But in reality, he's the root cause. He can't just get away with this." I spoke firmly, and Leonardo immediately pulled me into his arms. "Thank you, Carolina. Thank you for standing by me." What was he so emotional about? Was it because I was choosing him, not my past feelings? At that moment, I finally understood my importance to Leonardo. As long as I chose him, he would do anything for me. I gently patted his back. "We're a family now. Always will be. Whatever you do, I'll support you." After we cleared things up, a few days later, Leonardo sent people to the temple. Patrick had deep ties with the temple. In fact, many of these temples were privately owned businesses, focused on profit, but they deceived their followers, collecting enormous amounts of incense money. Now, Patrick had become the temple's living advertisement. I didn't know how many people would flock there for a visit. Leonardo immediately contacted the relevant authorities to investigate their profit chain. He also brought in several well-known influencers to live-stream the chaos behind the temple. Locals had long wanted to designate the temple as a heritage site, but due to the Fu family's financial gains from it, the temple's structure had suffered significant damage, ruining its reputation. Once everything was exposed, Fu's family was thoroughly finished. Patrick's image as a Buddhist disciple crumbled completely. People no longer believed in these so-called influencer temples. Learning that he and Rebecca had been planting roses together in the temple was even more disgusting. Once the floodgates were opened, there were many more revelations. The Fu family was investigated from top to bottom, and from restructuring, they went straight to bankruptcy. A city that once held Fu's company no longer had it. Patrick, implicated in the scandal, was imprisoned. During his time in jail, he wrote me letters. I returned them all. I had no ties to him anymore. I looked at the slight bulge in my stomach. I already had a new life, a new beginning.